Welcome back, guys. So today we're gonna be working on Connie. No, Connie. We got carbon flares, and we're gonna go ahead and bond these on and, what? Oh, so you wanna talk about this instead? This thing? Does anybody have questions about this? Okay, so the Ford, our project for SEMA this year, why did we stop working on it? Where have we been? What did Xavier do with his hair this time? All questions everyone's been asking.
Yeah, me too.
So basically, to sum it all up in a nutshell, one side of it is we were waiting on a bunch of parts from sponsors and just regular parts that we ordered that then through all this craziness had 0 ETA. And we had maybe about 4 months left to build this car. And we knew as a new company, since we've now just been doing this full time for maybe 6 months at the point, we have limited resources to just keep throwing at this. And if it's not gonna happen by SEMA, we'd rather pull the plug early and tell our sponsors and be like, hey, by the way, this isn't gonna work out this year, but we're gonna push it for next year. So the plan is SEMA 2023, we got more time to make this thing perfect. I feel a lot better about it. The other whole half about it was I was feeling burnt out because we just went so hard on this right away. And that's we can have a serious conversation about that later about, burnout, creator burnout and all that stuff, but that's not what this episode's about. Ford is coming back. We have a lot of cool stuff. We have the side pods in, a bunch of 3D printed stuff from our boy Alex, You've seen him a bunch of times, friends on the internet. Yeah, so that's the main thing with this. I'm glad we did choose to pull it when we did, because all of those parts that had no ETA, we have not received any of them yet. So half of the stuff we would have no suspension, no wheels, no electronics, no tires. For all the companies, we'll have an extra year of advertising and just really pushing all the cool stuff that they're doing for us to make sure this is possible. So I really appreciate everybody sticking around with us. And we didn't really tell anybody what was going on, so I understand all the comments of people being like, what the hell is going on? This is a 2002. Don't worry about that. We got stuff on that coming later. The 240Z, we now have, an actual wing on the back of it. We'll have more on the actual development and testing of the wing. That'll be a product for us later. We have front turbo fans. We had our meet. I blew up a rear turbo fan, now rebuilt it. My wheel flew off while driving. Okay, this is where it all happened. Started making this turn, and then right about here it dropped. So the problem is it could have fallen off the edge there or off the edge here. You get to run down into the woods, probably about a 100-foot drop off the edge of that bypass where the actual wheel fell off, so it could be anywhere. Okay, so this turn is where the wheel fell off. So it could be anywhere down here, including in this water. So I'm gonna walk around a bunch and hopefully find a bright white wheel and tire. And look what I found. Looks okay. Don't know how you got down here, but, well, I do know how, but that's crazy. Looks undamaged to me. Happy we found it. Got the wheel, good to go. Luckily the rotor didn't touch the ground at all because my subframe actually sits lower than it. None of my control arms got hit. It just slid on the subframe. Frame rail didn't get touched. Pretty crazy, pretty lucky. Wheel seems okay. I'm gonna throw it on the balancer before I put it back on, but that could have been way worse than it was. Yeah, so there's plenty of stuff on the Z coming up very soon as well. But the main thing we're all here for today
is the chicken on the bone.
Chicken on the bone. Watch out.
The power of
Connie Celica. How terrific. She's a little dusty,
spicy.
But yeah, it's so funny. You can tell what parts were painted first because there's certain dust on some of them because we're just in this small area back here. So whenever I make dust, dusty, everything is dusty. It creates dust on literally everything. The Ford is covered, but.
Connie is looking like some true mayonnaise.
What? True mayonnaise.
All
Okay,
right.
so just to recap everywhere where we are, we have painted Connie Celica. I guess this is a color reveal for a lot of people that don't follow us on Instagram, which you should. Our handles are probably below. I don't know where Xavier puts these things, but
Me neither.
they're somewhere.
Thank
Catch
you.
them. But so yeah, this is Ford. No, not Ford. This is a Toyota color, sticking true to Toyota. Toyota Super White 2. We're very specific. Very funny story. It had been so long since I painted all the parts for this car, I forgot which color we were going with, and we had talked about possibly doing Honda's Championship White. I painted the chassis Championship White. I was sending Dave a bunch of photos, and he's like, "Oh, cool. It's like kind of creamy." I'm like, "Yeah, Championship White, man." He's like, "Is that a joke?" I'm like, no. So I painted it a second time. Super White 2, and then all these panels have been like sitting around the shop for so long. I ended up painting all the panels again anyways.
So we got 3 tank coats.
Yeah, yes. But
She protected.
yes. And then we went ahead and finished off all of the molds for the these are also dusty, the sick flares designed by John Sable.
Yo, show the backside.
They're carbon fiber with some
Carbon
overspray.
fiber. Side note.
Yeah.
I got to see the carbon fiber man in person.
Carbon fiber. Carbon fiber.
He was at the
Oh, I know, dude.
crazy.
I saw you with like his R32, right? And I
Yeah.
was like, dang, I'm jealous. I need a video with him.
Yeah. We're gonna make it happen, guys.
Connie's pretty much done. We just need to bond the flares on. And in John Sable's renders, he had no hardware. And I was thinking about making like a back piece that we could then put hardware like sunken through from the back, which becomes a problem with the quarter panel because you can't really get to all of the quarter panel from the back. So, and the other main thing is like I'm only making a small run of these. I'm not going to be making a ton of these. Like the molds I made for these will maybe withstand like 10 to 20 parts. So I only might make, you know.
You got inspiration from kids doing the BMW truck.
Exactly.
You better get it while it's hot.
Dude, BMW, don't even get me started on BMW right now. They're embarrassing.
I was an E30 man for one day.
True. We're not Beamer boys anymore.
Oh damn, man, that just hurt my heart for a second, dog. I forgot all about Beamer Boys. That was short-lived.
One day.
That was a Beamer
He was
Boy.
all excited because I've been into BMW since I was like 16. He's now bought his first BMW, but he had it for one day.
I can't make
They
this
gave it
shit
back,
up, dog.
yeah.
I literally cannot.
We'll go into it at a later date, but it's a good story either way. We got a lot of good stories from the past like couple months.
Yeah.
We're gonna be bonding these awesome John Sable flares onto Connie. The way we're doing it though is with DP420 Bro. We're not gonna be making like crazy inner flanges because of all the time that would go into it. And I've had Connie long enough. We need to just get Connie back to Dave. And this is also gonna be a very nice solution. Like you can tell it looks really good. I bonded on the other 3 flares just to kind of, you know, get one in the oven. We need to figure out where the flare is going to go on your nicely painted fenders. So what I'm gonna do is tape around the edge a good bit with this 1.5" tape. And then I'm gonna tape the edge of the flare. Then I'm gonna take a Sharpie marker, line the flare up, and trace around it. Boop. This is why I took those gloves off, dude. Ripping tape with gloves on is like one of the most annoying things. Now you cut out your, this is the actual section that's gonna be bonded to the intersection of the flare. Take some 80 grit and scratch up your nice new paint. Or maybe old paint. If you're doing like a patina build, you know, scratch that. Yeah. So you wanna give the DP420 something to bond to. And it's a mechanical bond. It's not like, it's probably a little bit of both, like an adhesion, like glue style bond and a mechanical bond, but giving it something to bite to can only help. You don't want to sand down to like the metal though and like have it rust, so.
Use your better judgment.
Yeah. Actually, and while we got the 80 grit out, I'm gonna do a little scuff on the inside of this too. What you would want to do is do a trial run with your clamps. Use as many clamps as you possibly can. So we're just gonna put a bead around the inside and rock and roll. It's crazy how like liquid this stuff is compared to the other epoxy we use.
Yeah, no, I agree.
It just starts to flow inward, so I gotta be kind of fast.
It bleeds carbon fiber.
I've kept the tape on this side of this so it doesn't ooze out and get on the front face of this. On the inside here, I can see like some of the 420 bro is not fully touching, so I'm just gonna go around and gloop the rest of this little container in. I'm gonna use one of these per corner. This stuff is expensive, so whatever, but it is the best for bonding carbon to carbon or carbon to any type of metals or like plastics and stuff like that. All right, so we're just gonna let this dry. Like I said, I did get a little bit of 420 on the paint. Nice technique to take that off. Just a little bit of fresh paper towel, lacquer thinner or mineral spirits or whatever you call it, and whoosh, look at that. He goes. 420 has a pot life of 20 minutes. But it will take a couple hours to fully cure. So we're gonna have to leave this clamped up here for a couple hours. But luckily I thought forward yesterday and I bonded all the other ones on, but I didn't seam this front right over here. So, so you can see I bonded on the other flares and I've ran some, a little seam around here so it looks like it's got like a gasket kinda. Looks a little more like OEM plus. Nakai-san from RWB, yeah, that's how I explained it to Dave. I'm like, so when I bond these on, do you want like one of these like seams? And I literally sent him a picture of Nakai-san. He's like, only if you do that with your finger. I'm like, all right.
TWB.
Yes. He's put a T. Toyota wide body. So I'm gonna tape off about 1/4 inch from the edge. This tape right here that I'm using is called fine line tape. It's not like paper-based tape. It's like kind of like really thin, like plastic almost.
Is this how they do the pinstripes?
Yes, exactly. This is like pinstripe paint tape. So I'm trying to like follow the curve as best I can. And if you've ever used tape, for some reason it's really easy to, if I'm using this 3/4 inch tape, it's easy for me to tape this curve, but when you're trying to stretch it this way, it'll bunch up. So I'm only gonna use the fine line on this outer edge. And on the inner edge, I'll use the yellow tape. So now I'm gonna tape on the inside of the flare. So this is actually 3M window weld. You can't read it and I can't spin it, but trust me, that's what it is. Oh yeah, get in there. All right, so I already have it all over my fingers, but I'm gonna try and keep a consistent line without touching a bunch of paint. This is even harder to get off. Well, it's harder to get off than the 420, and 420 is not hard at all to get off, so it's not really a great comparison, but you want to be a little more careful with this than the 420. This stuff is extremely annoying here. If you tape it all from one side to the other, you can pull it all off like this. Gloop. Boom. if you end up with little tiny rat tail things looking like this right here, it's better to just leave that on. You can just come back with a razor blade later and cut it.
I'm glad you told that side because
Once you start trying to wipe it without the tape on it, it'll mess it up. Trust me. There you go. 4 flares on Connie. I have a couple small things I gotta do. Finish buffing the outside of the body, and then I'm gonna cut a bunch of small trim pieces for his interior. But I'm sure we'll make a separate video on that stuff. But for all intents and purposes, Connie is pretty much ready to go. It does look pretty cool, having like all the stuff. Oh, we didn't talk about the interior of the engine bay at all. Big shout out to Technotoy Tuning for sending, they sent this bolt kit. So all these like galvanized bolts and stuff like that are all from them. I think it's a floss kit or something. And then they also sent the outer sections of the strut brace. And then I made this carbon tube, which is also, it's also super dusty. It's shop life, but yeah. Nice carbon tube. We've been trying to develop these with Technotoy Tuning. So we'll see how that goes, but like just bringing them out to them to, you know, have actually available to the masses to just buy a carbon tube like that, because they're so much lighter than the aluminum tubes. But
And
just
it still holds the same like structure, durability.
yeah, we're gonna actually have to do some like real testing on them, but for it's under compression, not tension. The only thing I'm worried about is like pulling the fittings out of here, but since it's on compression, it's pushing the fittings more into them. So like right now with this being expanded and the pressure of the wheels under load are gonna like try to push it in, this is gonna be super strong. So yeah, I think they should be completely fine, but we still want to test them before we go ahead and say, hey, definitely good. But there you go, test away, Dave. You can be our test mule.
Oh, you know he's gonna push the hell out of this
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah. I'm excited to see Connie full together, but like all the small details that are coming together, like the little headlight bits that we painted black. I didn't realize he had 2 of these, so I fixed 2 of them, and so I fixed them. And big shout out to Dave from Speed Academy, and Pete too. They've always like, you know, been there, been YouTube daddy, helping us out whenever we need a hand, introducing us to a bunch of cool companies. So he's been very patient with us. Actually, like a lot of the pressure of getting Connie done has not come from Dave. Dave's just always been like, if he sees me working on it, he knows I could be doing other stuff. He's like, stop working on Connie. Then all the Connie stands are like out there like, what are you doing? You've had Connie for 426 days. What are you doing with your?
I'm literally just about to say that same comment.
Yeah, and Dave's literally like, I don't even have time to work on it right now. Don't worry about it at all. I'm like, trust me, I'm worried about it. But yeah, so it's gonna be great getting this thing back to Dave. You can put the engine in it, trans, the whole interior back together, start rip rolling, slam it a little lower than it was. Now he's got these new flares. So definitely check out Speed Academy's channel, see the continuation of this and where it goes. And that's it. That's a cut.
I was trying not to say exit scene.
Did I not leave the scene?
No, you did.